It feels like AI is just everywhere in business these days. It's almost unavoidable.
It really does.
And that's bringing up this question in B2B contracts more and more often. Is your company using AI? Sounds simple enough, right?
Yeah, on the surface, super simple.
But here's the catch. A lot of AI is kind of invisible. It's baked into tools we use constantly,
Exactly. Like things we don't even register as AI sometimes.
which makes just answering yes or no, well, it doesn't really tell the whole story, does it?
Not at all. It sounds straightforward, but the reality is way more complicated. That simple answer just doesn't give you useful information.
Right. Because what does using AI actually mean in that context? That's the puzzle we're going to try and piece together today. We're diving into this based on a really sharp article by Shell Meadows, that's Shelley Meadows, who basically breaks down why this question is, well, a bit of a landmine in contracts.
Yeah, her piece is spot on. It clarifies the problem really well.
So our goal for this deep dive, which we're calling AI, let's talk about it,
Yeah.
is to figure out why that question isn't enough. And, what should we be asking instead?
Yeah.
Especially for anyone navigating these B2B deals.
Exactly. It's not like the question comes from a bad place, usually. It's just it lacks the necessary precision, right?
Totally.
So, yeah, let's unpack why it's problematic and figure out what a more informed conversation looks like. Maybe we should start with the term AI itself. It's such a massive umbrella.
It really is huge.
Yeah.
AI isn't just one thing. It covers this enormous spectrum. You've got, like, basic machine learning doing background tasks in software we've used for ages.
Right. The stuff that's been around.
And then all the way on the other end, you have things like advanced generative AI or systems that can actually make decisions on their own. Big difference.
Huge difference. And think about the common software businesses use: Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Salesforce, Google Workspace. They're packed with AI features.
Yeah. Like what?
Well, noise suppression on calls, that's AI. Sentiment analysis and customer feedback tools. Grammar correction, like you get in emails or docs. Even optimizing schedules or detecting security threats. It's all powered by AI in some form.
Huh. Okay, so just using those standard platforms probably means a company is technically using AI.
Almost certainly, yeah.
So as Shell Meadows points out, does saying yes because your email checks grammar mean the same thing risk-wise as saying yes because you've built a custom AI chatbot for customers? Probably not.
Exactly. That's the core of the disconnect, isn't it? The person asking, are you using AI, might not really grasp all these different levels or types of AI integration.
It might just be thinking of the big, obvious stuff.
Right. They're often not distinguishing between the AI that's just part of standard software versus, say, something bespoke or potentially much higher risk.
That's a really critical point. The question aims for risk management or compliance, maybe, but the answer is just too broad to be useful. Shell's article really nails this failure to differentiate. Like, you've got customer-facing generative AI, which has one set of risks. Then maybe internal teams experimenting with AI models.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
Or AI used purely in like a sandbox environment for testing, completely isolated.
Right. No customer data involved.
Shell uses this example of an R&D team playing with agentic AI that can act more autonomously for internal decision-making prototypes. Should that really trigger a disclosure under a vague using AI question if it's nowhere near clients or client data?
It seems kind of absurd when you put it like that. The context just gets lost.
Absolutely.
And this lack of detail gets serious when sensitive data is involved in the B2B relationship.
Yeah.
You absolutely need to know how data is being handled.
Absolutely.
A simple yes-no on AI doesn't cut it. As Shell argues, the onus is really on asking better, more specific questions.
Yeah, the responsibility shifts.
So if the binary question is out, what should contracts be asking? Shell offers some good alternatives, right? Focused on the specifics.
Yes, exactly. It's about moving from if to how. Like, is the AI making decisions completely on its own without a human in the loop? That's a big one for liability.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Autonomy is key.
Another crucial question Shell raises, is the AI processing third-party data? If yes, what kind? What protections are there?
Data handling, got it.
And also, are the AI's outputs checked or validated by a human before they go external or get acted upon? That oversight piece is vital.
These are the questions that actually dig into the potential risks and responsibilities. Much better than the blanket question.
Way better. Answering yes, we use AI for grammar tells you basically nothing about the real operational risks.
And this vagueness, it has real compliance consequences too, doesn't it? Shell talks about that.
Oh, definitely. It can go wrong in two ways, really. A company might over-disclose, say yes because of standard tools, and suddenly face unnecessary scrutiny.
Right, opening a can of worms for no reason.
Or they might say no because they aren't using, fancy generative AI, but they ignore all the embedded AI. That creates a false sense of security. Risks might be getting missed.
It's a bit of a mess either way. This misalignment between actual use and contractual declaration, it sounds like it just causes friction.
Totally. Friction in negotiations, delays onboarding partners, erodes trust. It just highlights that, frankly, many organizations are still figuring out how to even think about governing AI.
As Shell points out, that's going to become a bigger issue as AI regulations start to take shape. You can't govern what you don't understand or track.
Which leads naturally to the need for more structured AI governance in these B2B relationships. It might sound a bit bureaucratic,
Yeah, a little.
but Shell makes a strong case that it's becoming essential. We need to move past vague questions. Think about how data privacy evolved.
Good parallel. We needed detailed protocols there too.
Right. So for AI, Shell suggests things like having formal internal AI use policies, keeping detailed logs or inventories of AI systems being used. Okay, so actually tracking it.
And clearly distinguishing between AI that's just experimental versus AI that's actually in production, impacting operations or data.
That distinction seems critical.
And maybe most importantly, developing standardized language for contracts.
Hmm.
So when you talk about AI, everyone understands what kind of AI and how it's being used.
Like we did with data processing agreements, mapping out the flows. We need that kind of granularity for AI now.
Precisely. So it really boils down to changing the question, doesn't it? Getting away from the simple yes-no.
Yeah.
It's about digging into the context,
Yeah.
the specifics, the controls. The key takeaway from Shell is really that the vital questions are, how is AI being used, why is it being used, and what safeguards are in place.
Moving to those more contextual, operationally aware conversations, that seems like the only way these AI clauses and contracts will actually provide clarity instead of just adding confusion.
Couldn't agree more. Because as automation and algorithms take on bigger roles, our contracts have to be just as precise. Otherwise, we're just asking for trouble down the line. Okay, so let's wrap this up. The big insight from Shell work is that asking, are you using AI in B2B contracts, is just too blunt an instrument. It's insufficient, potentially misleading.
Yep. Because AI is so diverse, and the yes-no answer tells you almost nothing about actual risk or responsibility.
So the shift needs to be towards more detailed, context-specific discussions, focusing on the purpose of the AI, its scope, how it's governed, what controls are wrapped around it.
That's the path forward, which, leads to a good question for everyone listening. How is your organization or the ones you work with handling AI in agreements right now?
Yeah. Is it just that simple yes-no, or is there a more nuanced approach being taken? Something to think about.
Definitely something to consider.
And if you want to explore these kinds of AI complexities in the business world even further, we definitely recommend the book, From Data to Decisions. You can find it on Amazon.
Great resource.
Thanks so much for tuning into this deep dive. AI. Let's talk about it.